Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, July 10th meeting of the Evanston Plan Commission. Do we have a quorum? Can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Draper? Commissioner Dubin?
Here.
Commissioner Goddard?
Here.
Commissioner Halleck? Commissioner Isaac?
Here.
Commissioner Pagotzi? Commissioner Sloss? And Chair Ford, or Chair Lewis.
It's been a while. That's old habits die slowly. So here. All right. So the first thing I would like to say that is that the Plan Commission is a recommending body, and whatever is decided or moved here will be treated as a recommendation to the City Council. So if you are signed up to speak, I will ask that you, there'll be two parts that you'll have an opportunity to speak. First is to ask questions of the petitioner or of the general case. The second time will be to later when you're giving your own testimony about it. I would like you, when you come up, when you speak, you please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. And what else? Is there anything else I should be saying? That's right. So why don't I swear everyone in right now? So if you're going to speak, will you raise your right hand and do you promise to tell the truth? Great. All right, very good. So the first item on the agenda, well actually we have, besides approval of the minutes, we'll have two cases tonight. The first is a text amendment and the second is an adjustment to plan development. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the June 12th meeting of 2019. Are there any comments, revisions? No one? I have one thing that I would like to add in the second paragraph is, besides my reviewing the minutes of the meeting, I'd like to just have it on record that I watched the entire video of the previous hearing that was so nobly chaired by Commissioner Isaac. So, yep. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve as amended? Yes, okay. Goddard and yeah, Isaac. All right, a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. All against? It is passed. All right, so the first item on the agenda is number 19 PLND 0066, a text amendment, alcohol production facilities. Ms. Jones, are you going to present?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This particular text amendment is a bit of a housekeeping item. It's more to make sure that various codes within the city align and make sense with each other, as well as with recently updated state regulations. So, if you recall, actually last year, there was a definition created for a craft alcohol production facility. This facility is a commercial facility that, one, produces beer, wine, or other alcoholic liquor in quantities compliant with all applicable local, state, and federal regulations, and two, includes an accessory tasting room in zoning districts where the facility is a special use. A tasting room is only permitted to allow customers to taste samples of products manufactured on site and purchase related sale items. A sale of alcohol manufactured off-site is prohibited. A craft alcohol production facility may have a Type 1 restaurant as an accessory use. So recently, actually just last month in June, Council made several updates to the liquor control regulations, which included, but were not limited to, allowing establishments that were licensed as brew pubs and craft brewers to, or with a tap room, to have up to 5 taps of beer or cider from other off-site producers of that beer or cider. It cannot be more than 50% of a tap room's gross retail sales of alcohol, and that change also permitted brewers to produce up to 465,000 gallons of beer manufactured off-site, as is permitted by the state of Illinois. Another change that was done was the creation of a new P5 license, which permits the alcohol manufacturers to produce more alcohol than is currently permitted under the Class P craft distillery license. So with those particular changes that were just approved, which also align with the state regulations, staff is proposing the following change to the definition of craft alcohol production facilities. Basically, we'll be taking out the language that speaks to only allowing customers to taste samples of beer or alcohol that is brewed on site, and prohibits the sale of alcohol that's manufactured off-site, and would basically just make sure that this particular definition aligns with Title III, Chapter 4 of the Evanston City Code. So basically, if there are any changes that occur to that particular code, we won't necessarily have to keep coming back and updating the zoning ordinance. So basically, the language just says is compliant and follows regulations as stated in Title III, Chapter 4 of the City Code. The standards for approval of this proposed amendment are as follows. Whether the proposed amendment is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Comprehensive General Plan as adopted and amended from time to time by the City Council. Whether the proposed amendment is compatible with the overall character of existing development in the immediate vicinity of the subject property. Whether the proposed amendment will have an adverse effect on the value of adjacent properties, and the adequacy of public facilities and services. So with that, I will open up to any questions.
All right.
Or any-
All right. So do the, I don't see anyone signed up to speak to this, so I'm going to just open it up to commissioners. Do the commissioners have any questions of staff? All right. So just to clarify, you're saying that 3 things are basically changing, and that it's going to be reflected here. That, well, so the zoning ordinance. What is changing in the zoning ordinance? There's 3 things that City Council did. They added the ability for having outside sources of alcohol within
Right, so
within a
the
facility.
5 taps of
Yes, increase the capacity for the alcohol distilling facility. Is that correct? Okay. And then added a P5 license, and that is reflected in the ordinance in just one section. Is that did you?
what City Council approved included some additional changes that aren't within the purview of the zoning ordinance. What's stated here are things that affect what we have as a definition for
Okay.
our alcohol production facilities.
So only the definition is being changed in the ordinance.
Right.
All right. All right. Very good. Okay. So are there any questions from the audience? All right. Would anyone like to give testimony in the audience? All right. Okay. Commissioners, I open it up to you for comments. To make any statements. None? All right. So do I have a motion? Well, wait a second. I guess I should review this against the standards. Is that correct?
Yes.
It seems a little vague, but let's.
Like there's
is
several
good-
that might not be applicable.
Yeah, I would say it's consistent with the goals, objectives, policies of the Comprehensive General Plan. in time to time is amended by the city council, since it's their amendment. Compatible with the overall character of the existing development or city. It's obviously beneficial to the city, I believe. I don't believe there's any evidence of adverse effect on property values, and there's no evidence to suggest that the adequacy of public facilities cannot serve the increased capacity. So I think we've done our due diligence on that. All right, so having done that, does anyone have a motion to?
I move to approve the change as recommended by staff.
Do I have a second? Second, Dubin. All right, so should we have a voice vote, I believe, right?
Yeah, for this one.
Yeah, okay, so let's do it.
Commissioner Dubin. Aye. Commissioner Goddard. Aye. Commissioner Isaac.
Aye.
Commissioner Pagotzi. Commissioner Sloss. Chair Lewis.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
All right. All right, on to the major event. The next item on the agenda is item 19 PLND-0064, a major adjustment to a planned development at 128 through 132 Chicago Avenue, I guess parenthetically to be known as 100 Chicago Avenue. So please tell us about it.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Plan Commission, members of the public. As stated, a major adjustment is requested to a plan development that was approved last year by the City Council. So the building at the corner of Chicago Avenue and Howard was approved as a 5-story building with 26 dwelling units, 30 parking spaces, approximately 5,000 square feet of indoor commercial area, 7,000 square feet of outdoor garden yard, open sales area, and then a second floor area of office space for a commercial tenant that was intended to be used by the garden tenant on the first floor. This approval has subsequently been extended. A 1-year extension was granted in order to start construction of this. So the applicant is now requesting a major adjustment to the plan development. The change, really the only change, is to eliminate the second floor office space and replace that space with 2 dwelling units, one 1-bedroom unit and one 2-bedroom unit, which would increase the total number of dwelling units to 28. There are no physical changes that are requested to the exterior of the building. This table shows the difference in what was approved as a plan development and what is proposed with the adjustment. So you see the number of dwelling units going up from 26 to 28. This actually reduces the number of required parking spaces from 37 to 32, and the actual parking spaces to be provided would not change. So it would stay at 30. It would just be closer to conformance with the code, and a site development allowance was granted as part of the original approval for parking. So we have several sets of standards for plan developments. Won't read through them all now, but there's the standards for special uses, the standards for plan developments that refers to the B3 standards and guidelines for plan development. So when we get there, we've got these items to go through. Staff is recommending approval of this item. DAPR reviewed this and unanimously recommended approval. And again, on this item, the Plan Commission is a recommending body to the City Council. That concludes a summary of the staff presentation. We're available for questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of the staff before we move on? All right, I think this is the time where you get your chance to present your case.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Lewis and members of the Commission. My name is Katie Jenke-Dale from the law firm of DLA Piper, 444 Westlake in Chicago. We represent Evanston Gateway for this major adjustment request. I think Scott did a great job giving an overview. I think it's a pretty minor request, but it does kind of allow us to move forward with this really exciting project at the gateway to Evanston. So I won't repeat everything that Scott just went over, but we are here, or I'm here if you guys have any questions tonight. Thank you.
All right. So, commissioners, do you have any questions?
Is the project funded?
We're still working on pulling together the financing for the project. I believe we're getting very close. As you can imagine, with we have this unique garden center, ground floor retail. It's not your typical high rise with a, national retailer on the ground floor. So it's a complicated project, but we're working very hard on it. If you've driven by recently, there's a sign up now coming soon. So I think we're getting very close, and this is a major step in that right direction.
My recollection from the original proposal was that the office space upstairs was going to be at least partially office for the operations, as well as I don't know, some event space. I presume, obviously, the event space portion of the operation is going to be gone, but as far as back office. Where is that going? If it was meant to be upstairs, where is it going to be now?
I think so. It will all be still accommodated, likely all on the ground floor. I think if I recall from the last time when we went through the original approval, there actually were some concerns, I believe, from the commission about having residential on the second floor as well as office, and how would that work, and how would those kind of interact with each other. And so I think we see this as an improvement that the ground floor tenant, doesn't think that they need that anymore for their programming. So I think it would operate like other retailers that don't necessarily have, administrative space on a second or on a separate floor. So it kind of takes care of that issue that was raised when we went through the original approvals.
Okay, thank you.
So the idea of this educational gardening is not
Still-
changed. The same premise of
Yep.
everything. So just the second floor meeting facility is being reduced and
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
putting
that
in, yeah.
there's still, that's all still going to be part of the kind of ethos of the project
Sure,
of having,
okay. all right,
activities
all
and
right. 'Cause
education.
That was
It
very
just won't be on
that
the
was the
second floor.
exciting part about it.
Yeah,
Other
that's-
than having something
It's not
significant
changing.
there at the entrance.
Just
Yeah,
down a
yeah.
level. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it does certainly take care of, I think our concern was security of mixing.
Yeah.
Once you let people into the elevator, that they had access to any floor or,
Yep.
So.
Correct.
All right, I think if there's no further questions, I'm going to open it up to questions from the public. You're sure, Matt? Okay. All right, so I think we can move right into public comment. Any comment? Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Matt Rogers. I live at 133 Clyde, which is directly over the railroad tracks from the subject property. I came and spoke about the property and how excited we were, and a couple of my neighbors came, I think, during the original presentation. But I wanted to come and just say that we all are eagerly still anticipating something like this happening. And I also think it's a great move for them to acknowledge what else is happening on the street. Obviously, them having the event space that's going to be in direct competition to a much larger event space that the Peckish Pig is bringing into the area shows the adaptability of this particular developer and how they're willing to sort of say, okay, how does this make sense? And to put some additional housing in this area and bring more people, more eyes to Howard Street, I think is a positive. So I stand fully in support of this and hope you will too.
Okay. Very good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing Alderman, would you like to speak? Okay, all right.
But, since you are, not having to do with this project, but the event space that you mentioned, I want to clarify, the new event space is going to be the Sherwin-Williams building, which is,
Oh, that sounds very good, yeah. So, all right, are there any comments from the commissioners?
I see this as a positive.
I would agree that it was always it seemed a little too small to really get off the ground and had problems built into it. So yeah, we all see it, I think, as a positive and would rather have more housing there. But we would love to see it start happening. So, all right, do I hear a motion?
And we do have the standards
Oh,
available
the
as well,
standards.
Mr. Chairman.
The standards, we always have to do the standards, so I can't read that, that's way too small. Should,
I have a question.
Yeah.
I see that we have the special use standards.
yes.
Is removing the office to residential, is that a special, I mean, is residential a special use, or is it the fact that we're removing the special use that makes it?
Yeah, the plan development itself is a special use within the district. So that's why the special use standards are applicable. So you can review these here, and another way to think of it's, whether the change in the project affects, these standards were
Yeah.
all found to be met previously with this ordinance.
Right, so it's really just, does the change, not the development itself, that we're measuring here, so.
I think that's one way to look at it, as they've already been found to be satisfied previously. So I can read the special use ones.
Please,
I have
because
those in
I-
larger font on my computer. I might need some help as we get later on. So the first one is the use of special use listed in the zoning ordinance.
Yes, it is.
Is in keeping with the purposes and policies of the adopted general plan and zoning ordinance as amended.
I believe it is, yes. Satisfied?
Will not cause a negative cumulative effect when its effect is considered in conjunction with the cumulative effect of various special uses of all types on the immediate neighborhood and the effect of the proposed type of special use upon the city as a whole.
Yeah, that is satisfied.
Does not interfere with or diminish the value of property in the neighborhood.
That is satisfied.
Can be adequately served by public facilities and services.
Well, the change, since we're doing the change, I would say that's really not applicable, but it's satisfied, I guess.
Does not cause undue traffic congestion.
I think improves it, so that's satisfied.
Preserve significant historical and architectural resources.
Not applicable.
Preserve significant natural and environmental features.
Not applicable, I would say.
And complies with all other applicable regulations of the district in which it is located and other applicable ordinances, except to the extent such regulations have been modified through the plan development process or the grant of a variation.
It's satisfied.
And the standards for plan development essentially refers to the zoning district where it's located. In reference to a specific plan development standards. In this case, it's a B3 zoning district.
But the modification does not change that, yes.
So I don't have this one in a large font in front of me, so this may be a little more challenging, but
Each plan development shall be compatible with the surrounding development and not be of such nature, height, bulk as to scale or exercise any influence contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinances set forth in section 6.1.2, purpose and intent of this title. I believe that's satisfied, especially since we're just talking about no change in bulk or anything. And
Well, I have just a quick question.
yeah.
The required spaces were reduced from 37 to 32.
Based on
How did that break down? between requirements for residential and requirements for the first floor commercial?
Previously?
Currently, as currently
currently.
constituted, as the proposal.
Sure, Commissioner Isaac. So 2,000 square feet of space can be subtracted from the least intensive parking space use here. So in this case now it's subtracted from the retail space. So that essentially 5,000 square feet of retail, the requirements for the 3,000 square feet of retail with that subtraction of 2,000 square feet, and that's a little over eight spaces, about 8.5 spaces for the retail component that would be required. And then with the change in number of units, it would be 32 spaces for the residential as a requirement.
That's based on bedrooms, is that correct?
So Scott, is it 24 for the residential and 8 for the commercial for a total of
Yes,
grand
yes.
total of 32?
The total 32. Yes, thank you for the
Okay.
correction.
And what was it previously?
37 was required previously as the total.
And the breakdown there was. Do you have that, or is that?
I don't have that readily in front of me, but essentially the office use was subtracted out. That 2,000 square feet was subtracted out.
And I'm sorry, I didn't look for this in the package, but was there a requirement on maintaining a certain number of spaces for the commercial versus the residential?
I'll double check the ordinance, but I do not believe that was a requirement.
Okay.
It is not listed as a condition of approval in the ordinance.
And if it was, I believe that would still be applicable, even though the total went down. That's not being requested to be modified, and
Absolutely.
It was a variance anyway.
When you were talking about bulk, it triggered something in my head about, well, we're adding 2 more residential units. Yes, we removed commercial. It obviously lowered the requirements, but how does that mix work with any requirements that were in the ordinance for, ratio between commercial and residential? If there is none, I'm not going to upset the apple cart right now.
So what did we decide? We decided that was satisfied. Each plan development shall be compatible with and implement the adopted comprehensive general plan as amended. Any adopted land use or urban design plan specific to the area, this zoning ordinance, and any other pertinent city planning and development policies. It's satisfied, yes, especially in context of only the change. Each plan development shall enhance and maintain the pedestrian character of the business district. You might say that I believe Mr. Rogers testified that he believes that bringing more pedestrians into the area only enhances it, so more residential people, so we'll call that satisfied. Each plan development shall enhance the streetscape and architectural character of the business districts, including, where possible, preserving character, giving buildings and existing streetscape amenities. That's actually not applicable, I believe, to the change. So all landscaping and streetscaping treatment within the plan development shall be provided in accordance with the requirements set forth in Chapter 17, Landscape and Screening of this title, and shown on the required landscape plan submitted as part of the plan development application. Well, that's not part of this change and would have been addressed in the previous application, so not applicable. There's more, huh? All right, major adjustment to a plan development, standards and guidelines for plan developments in B3 districts. For all boundaries of the plan development abutting a residential property, there shall be provided a transition landscape strip of at least 10 feet consisting of vegetation, screening, fencing, decorative walls in accordance with the Manual of Design Guidelines in Chapter 17, Landscaping and Screening of this title. I'm going to stick with that's not applicable because of it's only the variance, the variation that we're speaking to. Walkways development for a planned development shall form a logical, safe, and convenient system for pedestrian access to all project facilities, as well as any off-site destination likely to attract substantial pedestrian traffic. Pedestrian way shall not be used by other automotive traffic. I would say that it's actually satisfied and improves the access and safety of residents and flow of circulation to the building. Any objections? No? The location, construction, and operation of parking, loading areas, and service areas shall be designed to avoid adverse effects of residential uses within or adjoining the development, and where possible, provide additional parking beyond the requirement for the planned development to service the business district in which it is located. So even though the development doesn't provide the code required amount, it is getting closer to it, so we'll say that's satisfied. Principal vehicular access points shall be designed to permit smooth traffic flow with controlled turning increments, movements, and minimum hazards to vehicular and pedestrian traffic. I believe that's not affected by the proposed change. So, standards and guidelines for plan developments in B3 continued. Item 5, plan development shall provide, if possible, for underground installation of utilities, including electrical, telephone, both in public ways and private extensions thereof. Provision shall be made for acceptable design and construction of stormwater control facilities, including grading, gutter, piping, treatment of turf, and maintenance of facilities. I believe that's not affected by the proposed change. For every planned development, there shall be provided a market feasibility statement that shall indicate the consumer market areas for all proposed uses in the development and population potential of the area or areas to be served by the uses proposed, and other pertinent information concerning the need and demand for such uses of land. So that was actually submitted as part of the original development, a real estate feasibility study, and although not stated, it will support additional. Okay, all right. Well, I think just have to ask. All right, and last item number 7, I hope. For every planned development involving structures exceeding a gross floor area of 20,000 square feet, there shall be provided a traffic circulation impact study that shall show the effect of all proposed uses upon the adjacent area and nearby roads, highways. The study shall also show the amount and direction of anticipated traffic flow, clearly describe what road improvements and traffic control improvements might become necessary as a result of the construction of the proposed development. I believe that's not applicable to the proposed change. So, is there more?
That's it.
All right, we've read the standards. Are there any comments brought up by that? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the major adjustment to the plan development and add 2 dwelling units.
Commissioner Sloss? At the address.
Second?
Commissioner Goddard. All right, so let's call the roll.
Commissioner Dubin? Aye. Commissioner Goddard? Aye. Commissioner Isaac?
Aye.
Commissioner Pagotzi? Commissioner Sloss? Chair Lewis?
Aye, yes. All right, very good. We are recommending that it is approved, and good luck. All right. So next item on the agenda is public comment. So anyone who would like to speak to any matter other than what's been addressed? All right, there is none. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Commissioner Dubin.
Second.
Commissioner Isaac. Okay. All in favor? All against? I voted aye, by the way. Okay. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.